Welcome to Growing Stronger Every Day, a video series which focuses on building stronger rural communities. In this video series, you'll hear from industry professionals about how getting calf nutrition right can have long-term impacts on the profitability of your herd. Through this series, we will also interview professionals who are passionate about rural and regional health and making a difference in our communities. Welcome to the first video of our Growing Stronger Everyday series. Today we're here with Warren Davies, the Unbreakable Farmer, to hear more about his mental health journey. Mate, can you just give us a bit of a background on your journey, farming journey, in the industry?
So farming journey, we moved just up the road actually to a place called Merrigham. I was born and bred in Melbourne, but Dad always harboured this dream of being a farmer. So when I was about 15, we moved up here and started our farming journey. And not long after that, I actually started my own personal farming journey because I left school the next year and got a job with a fella in this district that was renowned as being a really good farmer, and that's where my journey started as a farmer, and then that progressed. I stayed with him for 6 or 7 years, and then progressed to farm ownership myself, which took the shape of buying a farm next door to Mum and Dad's and joining them together and creating a family business.
Yeah. What is it? We've got. We always talk about focus on what you can manage, and everything else. But in farming, the biggest thing we deal with is Mother Nature. That at the end of the day, we can put systems around it. But how, that persistence and that determination to keep coming back. How did you process it yourself, dealing with those challenges?
And I think that was my biggest failure, is I was trying to control stuff that I couldn't control, and that led to my what I call now my mental health journey, because I think it was back at the flood, like when we got flooded. It was a big challenge. It wasn't a full district kind of thing, major towns like Shepparton and Benalla and Echuca, and that got flooded, and their farms might have been wet, but we actually went right under. Like we were up to anywhere up to waist deep water, and it was a real challenging time. Taught me lots of skills about how to overcome adversity and that, but around that time it also triggered what I call now my mental health journey, and that was just a slow spiral that I didn't do anything about, and just kept going on with my work, because the most important thing at that stage in life, or what I thought it was my farm, and really neglected my own well-being. And now I realise in hindsight, obviously, which is always a good thing, but your well-being is very important, because if you're not operating at 100%, how can anything else, either in your business, relationships, or financial life, how can that be 100% if you're not operating at 100%?
So mate, looking back, is there, do you think of any triggers, as in when you had your farm where you're going, actually, I should have identified that as, as a point that, actually I'm not okay, or I need to maybe suss out some help?
But for me it was anger. I was getting angry really easy. You'd lose your temper, a lot easier than you would normally, because of the stress and the pressure you're under. But that's also a sign that if that's out of character. So one of the biggest things, and it's probably the most important thing, is isolation. Isolation's the biggest killer. So if you notice yourself, or the people around you, or someone around you that's isolating themselves and they're not doing the things that they love doing, that's a really key trigger that maybe you need to have a conversation with that person, or with yourself for that matter, and check in with them and make sure they're doing okay. I always talk about resilience and mental health kind of combined, I reckon, and I talk about them as liken them to bungee jumping. So to be able to bounce back from things, it's like bungee jumping. You jump off, you bounce back, but the most important thing in bungee jumping is the cord. If we don't maintain that, one day it'll snap and you'll find yourself on the ground. So that's why I liken my mental health and my resilience to like bungee jumping, and I probably didn't maintain that cord well enough, and eventually it snapped and crashed to the ground. So
mate, I guess thinking about that, maintaining the core, like like now, what tools do you, and what tools did you find when you did snap? Like like as in, how did you pull yourself back?
I've got strategies in place, like, you know, for my anxiety, I make sure, you know, music plays a big part. You know, listen to music, going for walks. You know, part of my support network, one of my, you know, I've got more than 5, but, you know, one of my 5 are my dogs.
Yeah.
You know, and like, you know, they, you know, you can talk to them. They love you unconditionally. They don't judge you. They, you know, and we can go for a walk and just clear. You know, walking, that's a good thing. A bit of exercise. Music's another one. Family's obviously another one. I think the things that I really reiterate now are, you know, understanding your happiness triggers and making sure that you're doing things. And I know it's hard as a farmer because you're working hard and that, but still understanding, you know, if you like going to the footy, or go to the footy, or if you like, you know, playing cricket, or, you know, playing squash or tennis, or, you know, or just like, you know, going down to the pub for a beer, if that's what your happiness trigger is, you need to be doing those things as well, because everything's got to be in balance. And
Warren, just I suppose your key messages that you really try and promote when you're talking to people around this, and from your experience, like what are you really, what are the key things we need to know?
Number one lesson was communication is key. We need to talk to people about how we're feeling, especially blokes as well. It's really important that, you know, it's not a sign of weakness to actually talk about how you're feeling and your emotions, and that it's actually a sign of strength and courage. So, but it's taken me a while to realise that. So that's why it's a real one of the lessons that one of the things that I've pushed the most, because, you know, communication is key around lots of things, but, you know, about our well-being, around our well-being, and how we're feeling. It's really important that we're talking to people about that. And number 2 is around staying connected to your community, and whatever that means to you and looks like to you, whether it's just your family, or it's, you know, your farm group, or your sporting group, or your whole community. And I've really been pushing this one recently, or a whole industry, because we need to, even as a whole agricultural industry in Australia particularly, we need to stick together and we need to stay connected. And it's vitally important that we do that, because there's power in community, and if we can tap into that, we can, you know, find solutions to problems that we might be facing that we haven't got the answers for. And thirdly, it's about seeking help and treating it seriously, making sure that, you know, if you do reach out and seek help around your mental health, that you treat it seriously, because it is important, and don't ignore the signs, and don't ignore the advice or the treatment that you might get. So they're the 3 most important things that, you know, I hopefully leave people with, and they can, you know, can take into their lives to help themselves or to help someone that's close to them.
Oh, Warren, thanks, mate. It's been, you know, really interesting having the discussion, and it's a great message that you're spreading, and we really thank you for sharing it, mate.
Thanks, mate.
It's been
Cheers.
great.